Welcome. Okay, so today we're digging into something uh, pretty major. News that feels, I don't know, both huge and weirdly kind of comforting at the same time.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're talking about the 2025 Nobel Prize and Literature winner, the Hungarian novelist Laszlo Krasznahorkai.
Right, and if you haven't really come across his name before, well, you're about to find out why he's considered, such a vital voice right now.
Absolutely. He's been described pretty much everywhere, and this is the phrase that really grabs you, isn't it? As the master of the apocalypse.
That title alone, Master of the Apocalypse, just begs for a discussion, right? I mean, the Nobel Prize, this pinnacle of artistic achievement,
Yeah.
goes to someone known for chaos, for despair. It
Yeah.
seems counterintuitive.
Exactly. So let's maybe frame what we're trying to do here for you listening in. This isn't just, hey, someone won an award.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
We want to unpack something more practical,
Right.
almost. Psychological, maybe.
I think so. It's about how art that delves so deep into the chaotic, the scary stuff, the despair, how does that end up reaffirming the power of art? That's what the Nobel Committee actually said.
It's a really important question. We're looking at his work almost like a survival guide.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
A mechanism for coping. His writing, which seems all about collapse and things being incredibly complicated, it surprisingly offers this blueprint almost for anyone feeling that mental overload, that anxiety.
That burnout feeling we all know.
Exactly, that sense that everything, globally and personally, is just one big spiraling problem. So how do you find resilience in that?
Okay, let's start with the writing itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because the style is, well, it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, pretty demanding.
Oh, for sure. We're talking sentences that are famous for being these, like, haunting, incredibly long, poetic, structurally just massive things.
It's not casual reading, is it? It's more like an endurance event.
It really is. And the detail that just crystallizes this, the sheer structural boundary pushing. Think about his novel, War and War. It's, 300 pages long?
Yes.
And structurally, it's written as one single sentence.
It's
One long, sprawling, continuous thought.
I read that, and honestly, my first thought was just, wow, my brain feels a bit fried just thinking about it. Imagine the focus needed for that.
Or maybe the psychological need to keep that narrative going relentlessly, you know?
Yeah, but this is where it pivots, I think, from just being a literary oddity to something really insightful. Because when the Nobel Committee talked about why they chose him, they were specific. They used that phrase, reaffirms the power of art in the midst of apocalyptic terror.
Okay, but let me push back on that a bit. If the world outside politics, climate, social stuff feels genuinely terrifying, doesn't dwelling on the apocalyptic just amplify the fear? Isn't that just leaning into the doom rather than finding resilience?
That's the core tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the difference is between reflection and
Yeah.
just giving up.
Yeah.
Resignation?
If art was purely about escaping reality, then yeah, his work might seem bleak. But what he does is make you confront the collapse, look right at it in all its tangled messiness.
So the power isn't in ignoring it, but
Yeah.
in processing it.
Exactly. Turning that external fear into something internal, something structured, like a piece of writing that lasts. It survives the chaos it describes.
So the act of creation itself, even with dark material, becomes sort of hopeful because it's choosing voice over silence.
Precisely. It reminds you that even when it feels like meaning is just draining away, someone else felt that too, felt it intensely enough to build something permanent out of it.
Which brings us nicely to the psychological angle.
Yeah, let's shift gears from the style to how that literary chaos lands psychologically for the reader. You can look at those long, winding sentences and see basically the written form of intense anxiety.
Oh, I totally get that. It's like when you're completely overwhelmed or burnt out, right? And your thoughts just race and tumble over each other, and you can't find the end point, the full stop.
It's relentless.
Yeah.
It perfectly mirrors that modern feeling of mental overload. You know, when you're endlessly scrolling through bad news, just bombarded with input.
Doom scrolling.
That feeling of nonstop information hitting you. It's like his sentences. The chaos on the page validates the chaos you might feel inside.
Which is such a contrast to a lot of the wellness advice we get, isn't it?
Totally.
Everything's about finding clarity, simplifying, finding neat little answers, journaling for structure.
Right. But Krasznahorkai's work kind of dives headfirst into the confusion and almost wallows in it, letting the thoughts run their messy natural course.
And maybe that's the breakthrough moment. His work suggests you can actually find a kind of structure within the mess itself.
Yes. It validates that feeling of not understanding everything. It says, hey, maybe that's okay. Maybe not having a neat summary for the universe doesn't mean life is pointless.
I find that genuinely comforting. We're all trying so hard to figure life out, find that clean story. And here's this guy, wins the Nobel,
Yeah.
basically for a novel that is one giant, complex, overwhelming thought process.
It sort of gives you permission, doesn't it? If he can win the biggest prize for the literary equivalent of an anxious spiral,
Yeah.
then maybe our own messy thoughts, our own confusion when things get tough, maybe they aren't failures, maybe they're just, works in progress.
Or even potential masterpieces waiting to happen.
Yeah.
It really does build this empathetic link, validating that inner complexity.
Definitely. But to really grasp why he focuses so much on collapse, we need a bit of context. His darkness isn't just theoretical.
No, not at all. His background is crucial here. He grew up in communist Hungary.
Right, so he saw systems failing firsthand, experienced intense political control, personal struggles. He rebelled. He even deserted the army at one point.
So his whole way of seeing the world is filtered through living under the shadow of potential collapse.
That's the bedrock for his obsession with the apocalyptic. It wasn't just a literary trope for him. It was woven into his reality.
And that leads into this idea you mentioned, emotional alchemy.
Yeah, it's this concept of transforming difficult emotions, fear, despair, into something reflective, something potentially timeless, like art.
Instead of just being crushed by it. Exactly.
Yeah.
He could have just given up, surrendered to the bleakness he saw. But instead, he channeled it. The core message seems to be, resilience isn't pretending the dark isn't there. It's turning the darkness into a mirror.
Into a mirror for reflection, yeah.
Nice.
Creating something from it.
And that feels incredibly relevant for all of us right now, for you listening, dealing with that constant drip of bad news, the environmental stress, social divisions, economic anxiety, that feeling that things are fraying.
It feels constant, doesn't it? And his approach
Yeah.
becomes almost practical advice. That feeling of crumbling can lead to feeling paralyzed.
But he offers another way, a different path. Don't run from the darkness. Use it. Create something through it. Reflect it back somehow. It's like this quiet but powerful mental health message hidden inside really dense, challenging literature.
Yeah.
He actually said once, art is humanity's extraordinary response to lostness.
That quote just nails it, doesn't it?
It really does.
So creativity stops being this optional extra, this luxury. It becomes how we actually process fear, sadness, that deep sense of being lost.
So writing a 300-page run-on sentence, or painting something chaotic, or maybe even like building a really complex spreadsheet.
Maybe. It's all imposing some kind of human order, a human framework onto what feels like terrifying randomness.
It's a survival tool.
Definitely.
Okay, to really make this tangible, we absolutely have to talk about the whale.
Ah, yes. The whale, the iconic example from his most famous book, The Melancholy of Resistance.
It sounds completely bizarre out of context, doesn't it?
It does. But it's so central to his use of metaphor. So the basic setup is this mysterious circus comes to a small, rundown Hungarian town, and it brings with it this giant, preserved, stuffed whale.
Just plunks it down in the town square. This enormous, slightly decaying, totally inexplicable thing.
Exactly. In the middle of this already tense, claustrophobic community, and the moment the whale arrives...
Everything goes haywire.
Total madness. The sheer presence of this impossible, overwhelming object, this grotesque spectacle, it just pushes the whole fragile town over the edge.
And people react wildly to it.
They flock to see it. They're horrified. They're fascinated. They're desperate to find some meaning in it. And its arrival basically triggers riots, anarchy, the complete breakdown of any social order.
It sounds absurd, but hearing you describe it, the metaphor lands so hard. The whale is like any huge, incomprehensible truth or event that just suddenly appears in your life.
And forces you to react. It could represent anything, really a sudden surge of hope or maybe inescapable dread or the rise of something politically inexplicable. But how people react often violently, irrationally to this giant, smelly truth plopped in their midst that reveals what's going on inside them. All the pretense drops away.
And that resonates so much because, let's be honest, we're kind of living in our own version of that chaotic little town, aren't we?
Absolutely. Every week, it feels like some new impossible whale lands in our news feeds.
Yeah. And we're forced to react, often from this place of just digital exhaustion and emotional fatigue.
His work confirms that reacting with fear and confusion to the huge, the inexplicable, the chaotic, that's human. But the real genius, I think, is that by describing the chaos so meticulously, he almost gives you a map of it.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. Krasznahorkai winning the Nobel. It underlines this core lesson, doesn't it?
I think so. That whether you're facing deep personal turmoil or that feeling of global apocalyptic dread.
Art, imagination, making connections, those are essential responses, not just nice-to-haves.
And that brings us to this final, really quite beautiful paradox we can leave you with. If a writer, like Krasznahorkai reportedly has, starts a book by saying something like, hope is a mistake.
Okay. Bleak.
Right. But the very act of writing that book, of finishing that 300-page sentence, dedicating years to building this reflection of despair, that is the ultimate act of hope, isn't it?
Ah, choosing creation over silence.
Choosing reflection over just giving in, it completely reframes what artistic resilience even means.
Wow. That definitely shifts things. It's not about offering easy comfort, is it? It's about offering powerful company, deep validation.
Fact.
So if your life right now feels like one long, tangled, run-on sentence, chaotic, overwhelming, maybe impossible to punctuate,
Just keep writing it anyway.
find your own structure within that mess. Use the weight of it all to create something reflective, even if it's just for yourself.
Yeah. Think about how you process chaos through your own creativity, whatever form that takes.
Well, thank you for joining us for this look into the work of the Master of Apocalypse.
It's been fascinating. Until next time.